What's up, people? It's DC19 through your gaming tech, and we're back again with another one, but we're obviously in a completely different area. As I said to you guys in Twitter, and if you're not following me on Twitter, you definitely need to go follow me on Twitter as well as subscribe to the channel. This is a brand new segment that is going to be coming to my channel, as I promised you guys on Twitter and YouTube in previous videos. If you haven't seen my previous videos, go check those out, and the links will be in the description, so go ahead and make sure you're getting everything that you need. Also, hit that notification bell once you actually subscribe. So what is this segment of the YouTube channel for all the people that are brand new? So in the future, this is going to be a completely different set of episodes, because I still will be doing my gaming discussions as well as rumors, rants, and gameplay as reviews. This is going to be a review on actual technology products. For instance, my name is Gaming Tech Head. So things that you want to improve in your gaming, as well as audio, as well as visual, as well as receivers, I will be now reviewing and giving my impressions of those certain products on my channel. I won't be doing a lot of them, but I will be doing the ones that actually mean something or probably could help you guys improve your gaming. So I'll be doing more like receivers, I'll be doing soundbars, I will be doing TVs, as well as I will be doing consoles, and not necessarily PC cards. That's a little too much of stuff for me, plus I don't have the software to do so. But let's get into this. So what I have right here is Sony's ST5000 ATMOS high-res soundbar. This bar is not your typical soundbar. It is, to be honest, I don't even like to call it a soundbar. I like to call it a home theater bar. What I mean by that is this bar actually gives the consumer or someone that wants a home theater type of audio listening in a room that they can't really fit a receiver and speakers in that room. For instance, this is my upstairs living room. My downstairs home theater room, I'm actually putting a VZ3000 ES receiver, as well as some ES speakers, because I have the space to do that. But while I'm upstairs, I want the best audio I could possibly get, because I'm not always in the theater room. So I want a sound bar that can actually replicate and give me the best audio I could possibly get. Now, this bar is the HT-ST5000 from Sony. This is a 7.1.2 ATMOS soundbar with high-res, as well as Wi-Fi, as well as Google Cast capability, as well as Bluetooth, as well as network capability. This basically has a Google Cast built in directly into it, a Chromecast built in directly into it. And it's 800 watts of power, and it's a 7.1.2 system. This is also going to be the first soundbar to actually support DTS-X as well as ATMOS. All the other soundbars only do what is it you call Atmos only. But this guy actually is going to be able to do it all. At the moment right now, this only does Atmos, as well as Dolby True HD, Dolby, all of the other, everything that you could possibly get to give you everything from Dolby 2.0 all the way to Atmos. So once it does Atmos, it does the entire line back down. Plus, there's also Bluetooth as well as Bluetooth transmission. And again, we'll go into that a little bit more in the setup process. So this video is going to be the unboxing. We're also going to be doing the setup process. We're also going to be showing you guys some of the things that the bar could do, because this also has 4K HDR pass-through. Why would you want that? Because again, like I say, this bar is a home theater bar. It's basically a receiver. It even has its own graphics user interface as well as setup. One of the things that most soundbars, or well, to be honest, only Sony soundbars, as I'm actually as I've known, I haven't seen any other bar actually do this, that gives you the ability to set your room up for your experience. What I mean by that is setting up your heights, as well as setting your distance, as well as setting how far your soundbar is, increasing the center decibels and all that good stuff. And we'll be going through all of that. So while we do that, while we wait to do all that, let's actually get inside this thing and see what's in the box. So what actually comes in the box, we're going to open it the best way we can. So again, this is an 800 watts, and I also didn't mention this actually comes with a subwoofer. Sad that I actually have to say that, because some soundbars with the price tag of this, which I also have not stated, this is $14.99. When I say that, I mean $1,499, so $1,500 for most people that didn't get what I was saying. But this also comes with a subwoofer. It also comes with the required, I wouldn't say required, but it comes with the HDMI cable that you would need for this actual system. So the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna take out the packaging information. So this is the box that comes with the packaging. It obviously says start on it. There you go. What comes inside this box here comes with all of your important information. Your HDMI cable, and this is a 4K 60p 18 gigabits HDMI cable that comes in the box. This is a good enough cable to get you everything that you need as well. And why I say, again, you can also wall mount this bar. It comes with your actual remote that you would need. So HDMI cable. Comes with batteries, so Sony was nice enough to give us some batteries. Also comes with the remote. The remote also gives you a ton of other features on it, and we'll actually go through what the remote is in the section and all the functionalities on it. So we'll go ahead and put this aside. And then what else comes inside the package is your soundbar manual. This is a very thick manual. It supports different languages, obviously. I think one of them is French, and I don't know what the other is. So how to wall mount the bar, because all the information comes in there. There you go. Yep, so your instruction manual and other information, your product registration. So you definitely want to do that. And also your limited warranty. It comes with a 1-year manufacturer warranty. So what we'll do is we'll go ahead and put this to the side. And then you also have a startup guide that comes in the box. This is an easy startup guide, so I'm not going to rush into it real quick, but this is kind of like how they did with the PlayStation VR system. They basically tell you what comes in the box. You obviously have the bar that comes in the box. You have the grill for the bar, the subwoofer, batteries. Also it's your manual, your wall mount template. You also get the startup guide. All of your information is actually in here, your battery as well as your HDMI cable. And it basically tells you how to set this up. And we'll go through it as well, again, like I said, and show you everything. And this supports ARC. So if you're a person that's actually buying this soundbar and you don't have a TV that supports ARC, what ARC is audio return channel. Audio return channel actually gives you audio playback. So it would be usually on some TVs, it would be HDMI 1 or HDMI 4. Usually on newer TVs since 2015, you're able to basically connect anything through ARC on a soundbar directly to the TV, so that you'd only need one remote. And basically once the TV turns on, you can also get video playback, so it will basically control all of the stuff. For instance, like I said, this is a receiver in a way, and we'll go through that. You basically how I'm going to set this up, and you guys be able to see that. So what's up top is the actual grill. For all of those you guys that have kids, the grill goes over the front of the bar. So what we'll do is we'll open this up. It's a lot of stuff. So we'll go ahead and open that. Again, this is going to be a very lengthy video, but this is an important video. So this is your grill. Has a little Sony logo right up here. There you go. Nothing on the other side. And this is a magnetic grill. You have your magnetic strips all the way up on front, so it just clamps right on the front of the actual soundbar. And what we'll do is we'll plant this in here because I don't want it to get damaged. What I'm replacing this bar with is the ST9. This is Sony's 7.1.2, no, I'm sorry, just standard 7.1 soundbar, 800 watts of power, something kind of similar to this, but it's not the same. It's actually built internally completely different. They didn't just add some top speakers. This bar is kind of hefty, so when you actually pick it up, or when you're wall mounting, you definitely want to wall mount it with some actual studs in the wall, or proper information equipment. So this is the subwoofer. So what we'll do is we'll move the box out the way. Let's not knock over any of the lights. Yep. So now we've got the subwoofer. I use this monitor right here, which is also a Sony tablet, to basically make sure I have enough battery life, what the video or what I'm looking at, because I'm not using a field monitor. I prefer this because I could stop, play, record, change my ISO all directly up front. So we'll move this, and then we'll get to the bar. This is the subwoofer. So what makes this subwoofer really dope is that it is a frontwards and downward passive radiator. So it's a dual firing subwoofer, 800 watts of power, brand new ceramic magnets that actually support the actual subwoofer. Basically, you have your better force, so your magnet's kind of much tighter compared to the older ST9. And then you have your dampeners, which actually don't dampen further enough. So the tighter your, the less your magnets dampen, you basically get a tighter sound. The faster your magnets retract, your force retracts, you're basically how tighter and cleaner the sound sounds. So this is a much improved soundbar. I mean, subwoofer. So this is a very heavy sub, and it's a very beautiful sub. So this is the sub. Come on. So this is your sub. This is a wireless subwoofer. So what you're gonna need for this sub is you're gonna need power, obviously, and it creates its own Wi-Fi network. And there's also another setting in here for all the guys that have a lot of Wi-Fi devices in their house that could possibly may chip this and disconnect it. We'll go over that in the actual section of it. But let's go into the actual bar now. So we got the sub over here. Now let's go into the actual bar. Bar is also wrapped. There we go. And on this side. Jesus. Okay. Underneath, your power cable. And it's not a detachable power cable. So we're obviously gonna get a little close-up of this so you guys see what that looks like. So that's the soundbar. Okay, so we already seen what this looked like. We're gonna get a closer look. I'm actually gonna post some photos and all that good stuff. But like I said, now there's also the second part of this where we're actually gonna set this up as well as connect it properly so you guys know exactly how to do it for the best sound that you could possibly get out of this. Just like a receiver, you don't want to just basically plug it in and then just start playing once you put your speakers up. You basically want to tell how far you're sitting, how high your ceilings are, as well as how large the room is and where your sub is going to be at, as well as your decibels, everything that could possibly need, as well as Wi-Fi setup, and giving you guys a tour of the graphics user interface and some of the other features you can actually use within your home. So let's go ahead and jump into that section of this. The first thing you're gonna wanna do is obviously put the bar where you're actually gonna wanna set it up. I'm actually gonna put the bar right here. First things first, just like I said before, you're gonna wanna plug your soundbar for your TV into the ARC, which is gonna be connected directly to your TV. On this bar, let me double check, it is gonna be HDMI out. So it's gonna be HDMI out, it's gonna label ARC right on top of it. For my Blu-ray, 4K Blu-ray player, my X800, UBP X800 Blu-ray player, I'm gonna be connecting HDMI 1. So once the bar is connected, fits right on my table, no problem. I'm gonna slide it back. There we go. So now my bar is directly where I want it to be. The heights are gonna be where they need to be. And now we're gonna go ahead and plug it in, power it up, and you guys are gonna see the interface as well as setup process. For my sub, I actually put it in the corner where I was sitting before behind the couch. You definitely want to put your soundbar in the corner of a room. It basically gives you a better acoustic sound when you actually have it set up that way. So when you start the soundbar up and you actually hit the home button on your actual remote, it will prompt you with the startup for your Chromecast built in. So we're gonna set that up right now. We're gonna build that in. Obviously go through your agreements, then hit agree, next. Time zone, yeah, New York's fine. Next. Okay, so that setup is actually finished. Now we're going to go into the actual soundbar itself, settings, and we're actually going to set up for the easy setup. So within the easy setup, we're obviously going to click English. Give me a second. Yep, so we're going to click English. Got to set the camera up here. Excuse me, guys. So, yep, we're going to hit power consumption. Basically what that is, if you want to read it, basically once you actually click on, what happens is whenever you come in home or anything that's on your network, if you're on Wi-Fi, you can basically automatically connect to it and it will turn the soundbar on. For instance, if you want to do like a group playlist or something like that, you could do that. And we're going to talk about that more in a second. So, easy setup, easy network setup. We're going to do wireless, because they're all going to be on the Wi-Fi network along with the rest of my other speakers in the house. Waiting for other connections. So we're going to pause this section here so I could set this up. So again, like I said earlier, this is basically a receiver. So like I said earlier, you have 3 HDMI out, you have your Bluetooth connection, that also supports Bluetooth playback as well as Bluetooth transmission. What I mean by Bluetooth transmission, if you go into the settings here, but before that you have your music services. So if you have things like Spotify or Pandora, you could basically connect them, and what it'll do is connect it to the internet, and you won't necessarily need your phone nearby, but you can actually use Spotify, Chromecast, built-in, all that good stuff in the actual bar itself, as long as you connect your network and basically play back. So now that that's all set up, you also have your network, what's on your network, USB playback, as well as analog which is 3.5. So actually within the bar here, so we're gonna go in, we're gonna check see if we have the latest update. Check via internet. Usually these processes take about 10 minutes. It's already up to date. You want to basically always check to make sure this is updated. Again, like I said, being that this is going to be the first bar to support DTS-X as well as Dolby Atmos. So within screen settings, you basically have your output. You want to keep that on auto unless you want to switch manually, depending on what type of TV you have. Obviously, this is the 4K 930D from Sony. You're gonna want to keep that. Video direct, basically this is a brand new feature. Outputs direct HDMI out jack. For what I'll explain that in a second, but what that is you can now do Sony's Wi-Fi devices, like their speakers, their ZR5s, the one you saw behind me earlier, which basically, think of Sonos, you connect those via Wi-Fi, plug in your power. As long as those devices are on your network, you can now transmit HDMI audio to different rooms. For instance, I have 2 of those speakers on my patio, and I also have 2 here, and I also have 2 in the basement, and 1 in the actual office, and 1 in my bedroom, and 2 in both of my bathrooms upstairs. So if I was listening to the football game, I can now transmit that audio directly out to those devices via Wi-Fi. Now for the best part. This is important. You're gonna want to keep these off. Sound feel effects, basically. What it basically is, Atmos or music, you're going to want to keep that on so you can basically switch your sound feel. Audio dynamic range, basically that's Sony basically chooses the way that the audio should be played back, so I'm gonna leave that on. DSEE-HX is basically their high-res sound engine that basically upscales things that's not high-res to near high-res. But in here is where you basically want to set this up, people. This is important. For instance, my ceiling height, because you want that, and it's extremely important, my ceiling height is from the bar itself, not from the floor to the bar, from the floor to the ceiling, from the bar to the ceiling. So my bar is about 5'7", 5.5 or 5'7" away from there, as well as your levels. You don't want to mess with that just yet. For your distance, I'm about 8 feet away from the bar to where I'm sitting at. Damn it. There we go. The subwoofer is only 5 feet away from where I'm sitting at. Again, these things are important, and the fact that you're able to do this on a soundbar is important. And I'll explain why that's important in just 1 second. You know, we'll just do it now. When you're doing Atmos on a soundbar, with the heights, what it's doing is throwing the audio up. When it's throwing the audio up, you basically wanted to know how high your ceiling is and how far you're sitting away to give you, think of math or you know, algebra, when you're basically you have to shoot how far back and how high it is. So in order for you to get the proper Atmos effect, there's a delay in audio, or a time delay in audio, being that this is the first using digital crossover as well as the time alignment processing in the bar itself versus any other soundbar out there. You're basically throwing audio above you at a certain time limit. So you want to know, the bar needs to know how tall your ceiling is and how far you're sitting back to get the best Atmos effect. Soundbars that tell you you have 6 to 7 feet of distance or how far back you're supposed to be, the problem with that is, how does the bar know how tall your ceiling is? How does it know how far you are away? So what happens is you probably get the Atmos effect at the wrong time or before that time, as well as the wrong decibels of what you want it to be. So just to give you an idea what the test tones sound like, that's how much it sounds like. Let me turn the volume up a bit. I may want to turn my center up a little bit, probably 1.5. For my heights, 2. My subwoofer, yeah, we'll do, actually no, that's a little too loud. We'll do -1. All right. And again, no other soundbar allows you to do things like this. So we're already in here, we already set that up. For Bluetooth, what I was saying earlier about Bluetooth transmission, you're able to send or transmit it Bluetooth audio to a pair of headphones that you have. What I mean by that is, instead of using the soundbar or the wire or cable to the TV, you can now set the soundbar as your Bluetooth device to send your audio signal to your headphones instead of the soundbar. So imagine late at night, you don't want to wake the kids up or whatever, you want to watch a movie, you basically could set your Bluetooth, your headphones up, any of your favorite pair of Bluetooth headphones with the soundbar, and then have it go directly to your headphones, and your TV doesn't have to have Bluetooth or connect a Bluetooth device. Now so while we're here, one of the features that I forgot to mention is that depending on your 4K Blu-ray player, all Blu-ray players have this feature, and most people that have receivers actually turn this off. There's a feature in your audio settings in your Blu-ray player called DB or Blu-ray audio mix settings. You want to turn that off. What that is basically your Blu-ray player is going to try to tell whatever your sound system what audio codecs to play. Most people leave your receiver to actually do that codexing because your receiver does a better job as doing the audio processing as playback Atmos, or let's say DTS or linear PCM. So being that this bar has its own dedicated processor to do so, you want to let the bar do its own thing because it's better than the actual player. You also have Bluetooth AAC3 codecs, as well as DSD audio, as well as FLAC wave, as all those things that you would need to play back all your audio playback files. For instance, the audio playback files is MP3, MP4A, MP4, 3 gigabits. You have your WAV file, which is your WMA9 standard, and you have WMA10 Pro, and then you have linear PCM, which is important. Then you have FLAC, as well as Dolby Digital, as well as digital SF, and then you have Monkey Audio, as well as all other playback files, AAC, DSF, as well as DFF. You have all the audio playback files that this device soundbar supports. So for high res, or anyone that's into high res audio music, this thing plays back all of those type of audio playback sounds, as well as your language. Again, we hear. So what I was telling you earlier, this also has an IR repeater. Notice that the bar doesn't actually block, when I showed you earlier, it doesn't block your IR. So if you're using a TV like a Samsung or an LG where it's sitting a little bit lower, this also, you could turn this on so you don't interrupt your audio or your remote transmission to the actual soundbar or your TV, so it passes the signal right through the bar to the actual TV. For subwoofer connection, if you're a person that has a lot of Wi-Fi or devices in the house, you can actually create a secure link by changing your actual radio frequency channel so it doesn't interrupt your subwoofer. No other soundbar or a lot of other soundbars don't offer this feature because you'll be listening and then your sub drops or disconnects. This bar allows you to create an actual link for yourself. You can create a 5.2 gigahertz connection or a 5.8 connection, or just leave it on auto. I'm gonna leave it on auto because I don't have a lot of Wi-Fi devices. As for HDMI playback, you have HDMI control as well as for HDMI signal. You want to switch HDMI enhanced. For instance, my 4K Blu-ray player is in HDMI 1. On our Sony TVs and actual other devices, you're gonna want to switch enhanced on to get the, obviously, as it says at the bottom, HDMI 4K HDR 60 FPS, as well as 4.4, 422, as well as 4K 60 and 4.2 and 10-bit for HDMI viewing. So I'm actually gonna turn that on this one. I'm not going to turn them on the other ones because I'm not using those. Software notification, that's on. Auto standby turns on. I'm going to leave that off. Quick network setup, we already have all that. Device name. Yep, so we're already done with that. Your network settings, we already went to that. Your input skipping. So if you don't want it to basically show all of the input devices once you hit the home button, you can actually skip it, or basically if you're hitting the input button, it'll skip a HDMI port that you're not using. I don't really mind that, so I'm gonna leave that the way it is. Reset, you can reset everything. So as I said earlier, the bar is basically like a receiver. We now have the UBP X800 4K Blu-ray player connected directly to it, and we're gonna switch over to HDMI 1, and we made sure that this port supports HDR enhanced for you to get your 4K HDR pass-through for the bar so you can have HDR. So we're gonna go over to the UBP X800 4K Blu-ray player. And we're gonna make sure we're at the best so you guys see that this is actually the Blu-ray player. So we're in the Blu-ray player. Make sure that the Blu-ray player is up to date. And we'll switch over. We're watching Everest. Gonna do a quick clip. Again, the TV I'm on is the Sony X930D. We're gonna hit resume. And this is being played back through the actual Blu-ray player itself. So we're gonna make sure that this is in HDR, so you're actually getting your HDR pass-through. So obviously 4K HDR, we are in ARC mode from HDR itself. So you can see all of that. You wanna go back? No, we're gonna go back. Click chapters. And it obviously works. So now we're gonna go back to the bar. We're gonna do some other things. So stay tuned for that. So as I was saying earlier, now you also have other features like Google Cast capability. So I can basically cast music and create groups. So in my app here, the Google Home app, I obviously have a group set up, and I named it Party Speakers. So within Party Speakers, you'll see that I have the group. That's the ST5000 here, and a few of my other speakers within the house that's actually connected to the setup. So it's obviously saved. So you can do easy things with your Google Home or your Google device, your phone, just by saying, okay, Google, play Kanye West Stronger on Party Speakers.
All right, Stronger from Spotify, playing on Party Speakers.
Working, making, do it, makes sense.
And it's that simple. And that's it. As you can see, it's connected. Party Speakers is playing Kanye West Graduation. stronger. And those are from the other speakers within the house. As you can see, the speakers that are in the group, as well as you're on your Wi-Fi network, you're good to go. So that's basically it for that. So I'm gonna give you guys my honest opinion on the actual soundbar itself, and is it worth your time and money? All right, guys, so that's the ST5000 in a nutshell, and now for the more deeper part of it. So the ST5000 is not your standard run-of-the-mill soundbar. It's a 7.1.2 setup with super tweeters, basically the little gold trims that you saw earlier, plus the actual center tweeter itself. The super tweeters basically give you those high-pitch audio, they're biamps, basically what you'd find in an audiophile system, being that this is a high-res bar that plays back DSD audio as well as wave and high-res and FLAC audio. Those super tweeters also have their own amplification. So this is a 12.1 channel of amplification soundbar, and not a 12.1 channel, the actual every single speaker has its own amplifier to give you that greater time delay and not actually disrupt or mess up the actual speakers or mid-range while they're trying to do what they're supposed to do. Having your amplifier make sure that this thing is much more sophisticated and gives you the right timing for the best audio you could possibly get. So you also have that, plus you also have linear PCM. And why I say linear PCM is because this bar is an ATMOS bar, which means it doesn't do DTS as of right now. Not a lot of movies support ATMOS, some of them support DTS. So when this bar was created by Sony, they sent it out to Sony Music to give you the audio format of it so they could tune it the way for audio. And then when they needed for Dolby, they sent it to Sony Picture Studios with the Dolby creators that do all the mixing for all the Dolby Atmos movies. And then they tune the bar for Dolby Atmos and even movies that's not created by Sony, obviously, because there's an Adobe guys, not Sony. Then when it came down to movies, the Sony Picture Studio tuned it for movies, which still gives you 7.1, but it doesn't give you the Atmos effect. It only gives you the 7.1, which is subwoofer, obviously the 0.1. Then when it comes to any other format, is actually tuned within that area. But linear PCM, basically, if your device doesn't support an actual format, what it does, or codecs, it does bit streaming to an actual device that does that actual playback or does that type of codecs or has the processing to play back those channels of audio. What you don't have to worry about the ST5000 being that it has a processor within it to give you back that 5.1, 2.1, or 7.1 in linear PCM, because Sony has its own processing unit inside of it that's, even if it's not done in even if it doesn't support DTS as of right now until the later update. And again, no other Atmos bar allows you to do DTS or actually has a processing unit inside of it that gives you linear PCM or actually has an audio processor to give you back those playback channels. So what I mean by that is when you pop in a movie that doesn't support Atmos, it's gonna play back what it needs to play back, or if it's not in Dolby, it's gonna play back 7 channel, because again, Sony actually does audio as well as anything else. What I mean by that is, I don't wanna get all dragged up into it, but you're not gonna lose any playback feature or anything like that because it doesn't support DTS, all the way from DTS 2.0 all the way up to master audio, which is 7.1, which you can only get through HDMI. So again, this bar is also an actual Wi-Fi capable device, as you saw earlier with my Bluetooth speakers and Wi-Fi speakers like the ZR5s that you see behind me. I have 10 of those in my home, as well as 2 ZR7s, which are the bigger versions of them, as well as a few HG1s, which are all around the house, which I can group now, all because they're within the same family and all done on Wi-Fi. And as you guys saw earlier, it's that simple and easy to set up, especially if you have a Google Home in your house. And even if you don't, you have the Sony the Music Center app, which you can set up groups that way and set it up that way for your own groups, and then play back your own music files via USB or from your phone, via Bluetooth or Wi-Fi, however it is you want to do so. So this bar not only sounds amazing, I've had a chance to play with it for a while. I've had a chance to do demonstrations and trainings with it. Obviously, you all know that I work for Sony. And again, this is not a sponsored video. This is just my personal opinion on this. The bar itself, again, is amazing. It does 3-wave digital, 3-wave audio. What I mean by that is, as you saw in front, you have your surround fronts, left and right, then you have your surround, and then you also have your front left and right, as well as your center channel, and then you have your left and right, your rear left and right, to give you a rear projecting of virtual surround for rears. So the bar sounds amazing. I definitely think that you should look into picking it up. It sounds amazing. Music playback sounds amazing. The fact that it's a 4K HDR device pass-through, my PlayStation 4, my Xbox One S, or Scorpio, if I ever get one, or PC can go directly through that. And the fact that video games in the future or now are going to start supporting Atmos as well as DTS-X, you want to be able to get that surrounding feeling. What Atmos is basically getting the audio above you or around you. Atmos is a object-based audio. So that's my personal feel on it, and that's my take on the ST5000, ST5000 Sony Atmos bar. If you want more on this, definitely check me out in the comment section in future videos going forward. I know this video was lengthy. In the future, I'll work on cutting them down. Anyways, your boy DC19 through your gaming tech. Peace.